Creepy men stalking us on a camping trip. In the year 1988, in the remote Cascade Mountains of Oregon, a family embarked on a camping trip that would forever haunt their memories. The group consisted of a 10-year-old child, their parents, a close friend, and a loyal golden retriever named Amber. With a penchant for the outdoors, this family often ventured into the wilderness for camping excursions. But this particular weekend would etch itself into their collective consciousness, shrouded in terror. As they set off for their adventure, the family packed their station wagon with all the necessities for a hiking trip to one of their cherished lakeside campsites. To add to the excitement, it was the child's birthday weekend, and they had chosen this very lake for their celebration. Upon arriving at the trailhead and shouldering their backpacks, the father, mindful of safety in the wilderness, holstered his sidearm. Open carry was permitted in Oregon's national forests, and the reassuring presence of a firearm served as a protective talisman, especially considering a prior encounter with a bear. The hike to the lake was a moderate 4-mile trek through dense forest, but the well-maintained trail made it a pleasant journey. The family unleashed their golden retriever, Amber, who darted joyously through the woods. The 1980s allowed for more relaxed leash laws, and Amber was well-behaved, never straying too far or bothering fellow hikers. In the first 2 miles, they encountered no one else, enjoying the serene solitude as they basked in nature's beauty. The child and their best friend couldn't contain their excitement and raced ahead to secure the ideal tent spot by the lake. Amber gleefully accompanied them. About 20 yards ahead of the parents, Amber abruptly halted, her hackles raised, emitting a low growl. It was unusual for the gentle dog to growl, and the family instinctively stopped in their tracks, sensing a disturbance in the tranquil forest. Their first thoughts were of a nearby chipmunk, deer, or perhaps a bird. However, Amber's behavior hinted at something more ominous lurking nearby. With caution, the family began to backtrack, and the parents swiftly caught up with the children. The child informed their father that Amber was growling at something further up the trail, concerned but resolute. The father instructed the children and their mother to stay back while he ventured forward to investigate. As a former Army man, he possessed both the experience and the aura of authority that instilled confidence in his family. He reached Amber and scanned the surroundings, but found no immediate threats. Assuring the dog he called her back, then returned to the group, attributing the episode to a passing animal. The family's unease gradually dissipated as they continued their hike, eventually reaching the pristine lake. It was devoid of other campers, its waters glistening serenely, surrounded by the protective embrace of ancient trees. Their joy was palpable, and the child, in particular, reveled in the prospect of celebrating their birthday in this idyllic setting. With camp established and the parents settling down to fish, the child and their friend, accompanied by Amber, embarked on a venture to the opposite shore to hunt for salamanders. However, their expedition was cut short when Amber suddenly froze, emitting a low growl once more. The forest rustled ominously, and a man incongruously dressed in a white polo shirt and black jeans emerged from the trees. Towering at least 6 feet and 4 inches, with a lean build and broad shoulders, he appeared out of place in the wilderness, as though plucked from a Sunday church service. The children stood, petrified, while Amber bristled and barked. With a disconcertingly eerie smile, the stranger remained motionless, undeterred by Amber's vocal protests. The child's parents, alerted by the dog's commotion, called out to them to return. Slowly, the child, their friend, and Amber complied, making their way back to their parents. The father, protective but composed, decided to approach the stranger, maintaining a veneer of politeness despite his internal wariness. The father initiated a conversation, inquiring whether the man required assistance or if he was another camper in the vicinity. Though seemingly cordial, the father's military background allowed him to gauge the situation, his senses attuned to any potential threat. The stranger claimed to be merely taking a walk and expressed no intention to intrude upon their camp. The encounter concluded with polite goodbyes, and the man retreated into the woods. Returning to the campsite, the father relayed his impressions to his family, revealing his unease despite the ostensibly benign encounter. Amber, ever vigilant, remained on guard, her attention focused on the direction the stranger had disappeared into. As the day progressed, the family kindled a campfire, and the sun began its descent. Dinner was prepared, followed by the cherished tradition of s'mores. Nightfall arrived, and the child and their friend retreated to their tent, with Amber stationed outside. Meanwhile, the parents wandered down to the lake's edge, relishing the serenity, their laughter mingling with the gentle lapping of the water. Within the shelter of their tent, the children shared stories and read books, their excitement dampened only by the eerie encounter with the stranger. Suddenly, Amber's growls pierced the stillness, prompting the children to extinguish their flashlight and fall silent. They listened intently as heavy footsteps approached their tent from the woods behind it. Amber's barks filled the night air, drowning out the sound of their racing hearts. The footsteps halted at the tent's edge, accompanied by labored breathing and ominous grunting. Summoned by Amber's vigilant defense, the parents hastened back to the campsite, their arrival deterring the unseen intruder who retreated into the darkness. Their anxiety grew, and the child sought guidance from their father, questioning the bizarre series of events. The father, determined to protect his family, decided they would assess the situation come morning, weighing the options and remaining vigilant. Morning arrived, and the family partook in a tranquil breakfast. They ventured down to the lake for a day of fishing, the events of the previous day fading as they reveled in the beauty of their surroundings. They decided to embark on a short hike to a nearby waterfall, a pleasant diversion from their unsettling experience. However, upon their return to the camp, they were greeted by a chilling sight. Their tents were ransacked, sleeping bags strewn across the ground. A sense of foreboding gripped the family, and the father, concealing his concern,